As the complaint says, and as we put into evidence last time at the preliminary hearing, the first round, there was a conversation between Braxton Becker and another individual where they're talking about deleting the video.
Will you be showing the recovered video in the court?
We'll be showing the evidence we need to show. I imagine some of it will need to be shown. Whether we show it as a video or stills remains to be seen. You know, we definitely have to show our evidence. We don't have to show all of it, and we're definitely trying not to make the second preliminary hearing stretch out for 5 months, because that's not what a preliminary hearing is for.
Do you consider this a game changer for the case in the sense that the defense attorneys were really picking apart what happened downstairs and bringing into question what happened down there?
I think that it's always good to have more evidence. I think it's sad if we needed it to show a judge, because I think, 40 years ago there was no, video of anything, and we were able to prove cases. And I think based upon Harry Camaro's report of what his BAC was, it was obvious what occurred between the two. But if a judge needs to see more, that's fine. I don't think we should have needed it. I think it's obvious what had happened without having the video. But I think if a judge needs to see it, then oh well, we'll show it. But I mean, I don't know how ever there could have been a different conclusion.
Would you have known, though, what had happened if not for the video? Would you have made this case about it?
Yeah. I mean, there's no other conclusion other than that drinks were furnished to an underage guy, and there was hazing happening. That was our theory, which got him to that level. He was in that house. He didn't get alcohol anywhere else. So while we're happy to have it, I don't see it as much different. But, I mean, if a judge is more persuaded by it, then that's fantastic. We'll certainly use the evidence that we have.
What is the most egregious thing that you think you're seeing in the new video?
Well, I mean, that's a question I don't think a prosecutor should answer, like what's egregious about it. I think I leave that to, other people, because that's not part of our case. We don't say this is horrible or this is egregious. We have to prove that, the elements of the case, that he was hazed, that it was reckless, and that's what we're focused on. I know other people may have those types of opinions, but I don't think that gets us over the hump of the legal, the legal barriers here. So it's, for us, it's the number of drinks. We've charged manslaughter, so we believe the behavior was reckless and that people could foresee serious bodily injury and death from the culmination of this behavior.
What can you say about the national fraternity, Theta Phi, with regards to their forthrightness with you about this video, or anything about these fraternity members as a whole?
Not much. They weren't forthright at all. In fact, they tried to get the video from us. They were trying to get it themselves. I had to fight a long battle where they were doing weird stuff and trying to get the original video from the police department. And we won that. I don't really think it's important. I don't think it even reflects on the defendants, and I'm not trying to say it did, but I didn't feel that they were helpful. In fact, they were obstreperous at first, trying to war with us for the original video, which was very peculiar.
When you say weird stuff,
yeah.
Get the video from you, what specifically did they do?
They tried to file on a civil docket to take the original video from the police department, the original, right? And had they done that, we couldn't have discovered that this was deleted. So there was a lot of things that happened originally that I've never seen before. And again, this doesn't reflect on the individual people defendants. The brothers, that was nothing to do with them, but it just left us scratching our heads. And eventually I was able to convince the judge that they didn't have the ability to do that. And they did it on a civil docket because they were involved in a lawsuit. And so, we had never seen that before. So as far as that entity, I didn't feel that they were very cooperative. And then then that lawyer started to say he didn't represent the fraternity anyhow. So it was very confusing. I didn't feel cooperation from them. I didn't expect it either, but there was some strange things happening there.
Was there any evidence of any physical force being used against Tim to drink holding it up and pouring it down his throat or anything like that?
Yeah, I never understood that theory. It doesn't have to be force. It's presumed force in Pennsylvania hazing. Did someone beat him in the head with a hammer and then sit on him and pour it down his throat? Nope. It is force. It's force by definition under the law. Hazing is force. Force is presumed when you're hazing. So says the Pennsylvania legislature, so says the law. It is force. In exchange for membership in an institution, if you require any kind of ritual, and that includes drinking, that is considered force. Consent is not a defense. And so I don't know how we ever get off on that tangent. I don't know why the judge really allowed it as a defense to the hazing. But I am telling you here and now, the prosecution 100% views that as force to drinking because so says the law. It's like asking me, can a 15-year-old consent to sex with a 40-year-old? Even if she says I wanted to do it, it is legally not consensual. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I'm curious, though, because they were wondering what was on the tape. Did somebody push him? Did somebody strike him? Just in addition to the drinking, did you see any indication?
I'm not going to answer that because it's wildly irrelevant, right? The question is hazing, furnishing, and something else. I will tell you, he never once obtained his own alcohol.
Have you spoken to your successor about this, and is he on board with your approach to this?
I don't know what he thinks or feels.
So, no, you haven't?
No.
Okay.
Can you help me understand better how the fraternity member, I guess Mr. Becker, allegedly had access to the system again when the police were there? Was it police needed the assistance of the fraternity member to know how to use the machinery, and that's when they took advantage of it?
No, not how to use it, but I mean, he was the person in charge of the camera at the house. So they were in the equipment closet together.
And so during the process of the collection, the allegation is the person took advantage of the situation, pushed a couple of buttons, and deleted the footage before it could be retrieved?
I mean, you have to read his affidavit, which will explain it. I would say that's generally right, but I think you should wait for the hearing to hear the exact testimony. His affidavit generally, I think you're in the right track.
Is there any evidence to suggest he tried to delete the video on the first floor or the second floor as well?
No, we have that.
I'm saying before you obtained it.
No. Nope, this is just the basement.
You said there was a conversation, I'm sorry if I missed it, you said between Mr. Becker and someone else, there was a conversation about the deletion. How was that overheard or observed?
Text messages. It was introduced at the last hearing. Yes?
Will there be any more reports from this grand jury on this case or the return system?
What was the last part?
Will there be any more reports from this grand jury on this case or the return system?
Oh. If you recall, in Timothy's grand jury, there was a directive to do a report on the general fraternity system, and that is not out of the question.
Do you still have concerns about Judge Lockman's?
Yes.
Is there any pending ruling on that, and whether or not he'll be the one that will hear the case, or at this point it's him that will?
No, it's not him that will. President Judge Russ gets to pick who. So, we just put our concerns out there because there are a number of other magisterial district judges who are eligible to hear it. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you for coming in. We have a copy of the charges I read you. Would you like to say something? Okay.
We'd like to thank the District Attorney and the State College Police for their continued commitment and efforts in finding justice for our son Tim's death. Tim was a happy and caring human being and a wonderful son who just wanted to join an organization to find friendships and camaraderie. Instead, he was killed at the hands of those he was seeking friendship from. We have spent the past 8 months wondering, how can this happen on the campus of Penn State? The visions of him lying in a hospital bed, battered and bruised and on life support, looking as if he got hit by a tractor trailer, make no sense. He was just trying to join an organization. Over the last several months, we listened to defense arguments centered around victim blaming. Or how could the defendants have known they were putting someone seriously at risk since no one died before, as if they were entitled to one free death? Or the catch-all argument of, we don't know. They claimed, we don't know what else happened other than what was seen in the upstairs video, and we don't know what happened in the basement. Guess what, guys? Now we know. We know there were more criminal and egregious negligent behavior by the same and more people. As for the argument of how could they know they were putting someone serious at risk, that's a joke. Did none of them pay attention in their high school health class? Coercing someone to drink 7 to 8 drinks in 12 minutes or close to 20 drinks in a matter of 90 minutes is egregiously reckless, and according to the police and the DA is criminal. They then left him to die alone, and they tried to cover it up. Hazing is illegal, and justice needs to be served. It's time to man up, fellas, and be held accountable for your actions. We're making holiday plans without our son Tim because of your actions. If you did not commit the acts you did, we would not be here today, and we would be anxiously awaiting Tim's return home for Thanksgiving break on Friday. Instead, we are asking, how do we make sense of the obvious void at our Thanksgiving table? Hazing needs to stop. There's just no place for it. A statement needs to be made. Universities throughout the country are starting to take a much tougher stance against hazing and the hazers, and we applaud them for it. The leadership at Penn State needs to take a tougher stance and should start by following through on their own proposals. However, I remain concerned. We would also like to thank our family, friends, and the thousands of total strangers who share our common goal of justice and an end to hazing for all their continued support, thoughts, and prayers. We know we are not on this journey alone. This was evidenced by a letter we received just last week from a complete stranger who said, "I will always remember Tim because his life mattered to me. Thank you."
Any other questions? Okay. Well, you can let us know if you'd like a copy of the, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I meant, yes, I'm going to.
Okay, yeah. Well, just come up here and see us. We might not have enough, but we can make more. Thank you.
No transmission?
Copy? Okay. Copy? Okay, can you tell him to make some copies? Okay. Only get some.